Man in war-torn country refuses to give up on the cats by Animal Channel. Yes, well, for the past decade, residents of Syria have been unhappy with the nation's unemployment, corruption, and lack of political freedom under the ruling of President Bashar al-Assad. In March 2011, these tensions came to a head when the Syrian government arrested a group of youth for painting revolutionary slogans on a local school wall. Groups of civilians outcried the decision, and when the country's military opened fire on the peaceful protesters, a civil war was born. Since the beginning of this crisis in 2011, the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights estimates there have been over 300 deaths, with an additional 59,000 people considered dead or missing. More than 400,000 people have been killed or are missing. Exact death toll figures vary depending on the source. And this is huge. Yes, 353,900 dead, 56,900 presumed dead or missing. Well, the airstrikes, the bombings and battles have left 1.5 million people with permanent disabilities, which includes 87,000 who have lost limbs. And since the Syrian war erupted, more than half of the nation's residents have tragically been displaced. Syria is now approaching almost a decade of bloodshed, violence, and war, yet despite this tragic circumstance, a symbol of love and hope has emerged. Muhammad Allah Ajil is a Syrian paramedic and ambulance driver. Since the beginning of the Syrian conflict, he's dedicated himself to helping the most vulnerable of his country, which includes seniors, children, and cats. I help people during the bombardment. I also have a hobby, which is taking care of cats, Ajilil said. Ajajil has been helping cats in the home of city Aleppo, Syria, for approximately the past 5 years. Well, as the conflict in his country intensified and the battles moved closer to his home, Ajajil found himself taking care of cats people had been forced to abandon for those who had been separated from their homes. As people were fleeing and leaving their neighborhoods, the cats started to come to my area because I was already feeding some, he told NBC. Well, in an interview with Syria Direct, he says, after the residents fled this area because of the bombing, there was no trash for the cats to eat. The cats gathered around me, and I would feed them. Al-Jajil was nicknamed the Catman of Aleppo, and his story spread worldwide. Soon this man, who had been feeding cats with money from his savings, was receiving donations from all over the world. These funds helped Al-Jajil open Ernesto's house, the first cat sanctuary in all of Syria. Al-Jajil's sanctuary started with a mere 20-something cats. As the war continued, however, that number soon swelled to 150. Al-Ajil provides all the cats in his sanctuary with food, love, and medical care. This man with a heart of gold even sends photos and videos to the cats' original owners so they know their kitties are okay. It was a really wonderful job, Al-Ajil told NBC. All the schools and the children used to come and visit the sanctuary. They would see the huge amounts of cats that were left behind by their owners. In November 2017, rebels in the Syrian government fought for control of Aleppo, the biggest city in Syria. Well, unfortunately, in the midst of the battle, Al-Jajil's sanctuary was bombed. Most of the cats under Ajil's care passed away in the attack. There were roughly 20 surviving felines, which Al-Jajil promptly brought to safety. The kind-hearted, okay, let's just call him A. I feel terrible mispronouncing his name over and over again. Kind-hearted A then spent 15 days trekking to the outskirts of Aleppo, where he is now, once again, setting up a sanctuary from scratch. This one will be called Ernesto's Paradise. Al-Jajil is obviously devoted to saving the cats of Syria, but this has also caused personal problems in his life. He and his wife have ultimately divorced, and she has since moved to Turkey with their children. A still tries to visit his children as much as possible, and says, "I hope my children will one day understand what their father was doing, and that the world will repay them with the same kindness and mercy and I've given to these animals and humans in need." When it comes to his kitties, A says, "I'll stay with them no matter what happens." I regard animals and humans in the same light. All of them suffer pain, and all of them deserve compassion. See his incredible story below. Please share this with your friends and family. And have an amazing Wednesday.